Rabbit Trails. All right. Well, welcome to episode 2 of Rabbit Trails.
Love
In
it.
this episode, firsts.
First.
We're going to
First.
see what that means in a second.
Okay.
What does that mean?
That's the topic?
That's the topic.
That's what we're running with?
Firsts.
Firsts. Okay. Sure.
Go ahead. You're up.
First. Okay. All right. Well, I I looked up some firsts, and these were just totally random. The first that
The first first. Yeah.
that I checked out. You know, this is weird. This is the first WWE championship broadcast.
Okay.
You know,
Was it? Hold on. WWE, for those of you who don't know, they had to change their name back in the late 90s.
Yeah,
because they
late 90s.
used to be WWF, the World Wrestling Federation.
Yeah.
But because of the WWF, the World Wildlife Fund, the WWF, the wrestling one, had to change their name to the WWE, which is the World Wrestling E. I'm not sure what the E stands for.
Entertainment.
Entertainment. Well, that
Yeah.
is debatable, I suppose. Anyway.
Because, I mean, it's controversial, right? Is it
yeah.
real? Well, and you know, I was never a huge WWE fan. I had some friends that followed it, like Raw is War, right? That kind of stuff. I was never really into that, and I have no idea why this came up in my mind. Like, I mean, I know Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
I know
Undertaker.
the Undertaker,
Andre
the
the
Giant.
Superfly Jimmy Snuka.
Are we just making up names?
No. That was a real one.
No.
I watched it a little bit if I could and if I was allowed to, which I wasn't. Sometimes it would be on after church, and I'd get home before everybody else because our church was really close, and I'd like turn on the channel and like just watch it for like 15 minutes before anybody came home.
And it was always the B wrestlers, right? They would have maybe they would have Hulk Hogan, but he would just be pretending to beat the tar out of some no-name guy that they practically just pulled out of the audience.
So the first broadcast?
Well, okay, here's the thing. This is what I discovered when I was doing a little bit of research. This WWE has been around since the 50s. 1956. Yeah.
I wouldn't have thought that.
Me neither. And it went through tons of name changes. So I went with the one that we all know and kind of love, the WWF Championship Wrestling. And its first TV broadcast was 1972. Now, here's the thing. This is what I learned, and this is what I just want to point out. They would film 3 weeks of content in one evening, which I thought was pretty interesting.
It's very expedient.
Yeah, like, did that audience pretend to be there 3 different times?
They had to change their shirts 3 different times?
Like, hold up different foam fingers?
Yeah.
Like, put on fake mustaches so you couldn't tell? I don't know. But here's one more tidbit.
Right.
Vince McMahon.
Yes.
He's a meme now, right? And I think a lot of your viewers are gonna recognize the meme of, you know, the guy like whoa, whoa, wow, and then he's got like glowing eyes and stuff like that.
Yep.
Vince McMahon, he's been around since the beginning.
Really?
The very first broadcast. Yeah.
In what was it again?
1972.
Okay.
That was the championship version. But yeah, that was one. Do you want to do one, or should I?
Let's switch. See, sure. I was thinking on a more personal sphere about firsts. Okay, so here's my long drawn out story. The other day, we started cleaning our basement and our storage room.
Yeah.
And I pulled out a bunch of old CDs. And
yes, CDs.
Yeah. Well, we need space and we don't need the CDs, so I actually just threw them out.
Yeah.
Yeah. because what am I going to do with them? We have them all on the computer. If you don't find anything, they're on Spotify. So what am I going to do? Sure. I kept some of them that, I couldn't find anywhere on the internet. And I kept also some of them that I thought had some value in my heart that I could maybe put up in my classroom at school as decoration or something like that, just to make it look cool. And so we were cleaning up, and I saw some albums that gave me such good feelings in my heart.
Nostalgia.
And, nostalgic feelings. Now, back in the day, I bought cassette tapes, okay? Like these guys right here.
Oh, I love those babies.
Cassette tapes. And this one in particular, I stretched out so much that I had to go back to the store and replace it about 3 times because I loved it so much.
How is that even possible? How did you listen to this so much?
I don't
think I've stretched out one.
I loved my music so much. But there was a point in time.
Okay, all right.
What? Sorry. There was a point in time, though, where we made the switch from cassette to CD, compact disc.
Yeah.
We all got CD players and Discmans, and and it was great. And I'm going to tell you about my first CD, my first compact disc that I got.
Okay.
The first one is the first compact disc that I stole. Now, I didn't steal it from a store.
What?
I didn't steal it from a store. I didn't steal it from a store. I stole it from my brother. He's 4 years older than I am. Mm-hmm. And he was at Bible college during this time. Yeah. And he came home one weekend. And he had this CD. I think he might have actually borrowed this from a friend. Oh, shoot. There we go.
Yes.
This is a band called MXPX, and the album was called Life in General. Mm-hmm. And I borrowed this CD from him, and I have never given it back. Okay? Because this CD was amazing, and it still is. But the first CD that I actually owned, that I actually really owned, instead of just stealing, we were at a big family thing in Phoenix where my Oma used to live. And my cousin, who is 2 months older than me, she had my name for the gift exchange, and she gave me this CD.
Yes.
This is a band called 90 Pound Wuss. And this, if you should check it out, because this was me in a nutshell back when I got this CD. This must have been grade 9 or 10. There's the back of it.
Yeah. I remember seeing that on vinyl at the record shop, actually.
So this is my first official compact disc. And I could listen to it over and over and over again without stretching it out. And that was awesome.
Unless you start scratching them.
Right, but I never did because I took care of my stuff, especially if they were that important. All right.
that was a solid one there.
Thanks.
All right, I got one more.
Okay.
I got 2 more, but all right. The first this is so dumb.
Good.
First discovery of microwaves.
Here, not the box that you put stuff in to heat up, but the actual.
Kind of. I'm gonna blend those two things together. Right. Did you know during World War II, the Allies had developed radar, and they were there's some factories in the States that were just popping out these devices, radar, blah, 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 blah. And there's this dude, Percy Spencer.
Yes.
He this was 1945. He was tinkering at the factory, if I recall correctly, and he needed a snack. Okay. And I guess earlier he had tossed a chocolate bar into his pocket.
Yeah.
And so, he was getting a little hangry, and he stood up and he went to get his chocolate bar, pulled it out of his pocket, and it had melted.
So he concluded that microwaves somehow were emanating from his rear end.
What? You know what? It's a funny thing that you mentioned that, because I wouldn't have, if I was walking along, I'm like, oh, my gummy bears, right? Yeah, I would have been like, what caused this? I wouldn't have done that either. But I guess for whatever reason, he had put two and two together. He'd been sitting beside this machine, which he knew got warm, but he didn't realize that it would actually melt a chocolate bar. So you know what he does? He gets his assistant to go run and grab some unpopped popcorn.
What?
And yes, and he brings it back. They scatter a bunch onto a plate that was like directly tied to this machine that had been going on, and they're watching, and the popcorn starts popping. And so the very first microwave snack was popcorn.
Okay. They put them near a machine that let out microwaves?
Yeah.
Was that not dangerous?
Oh, super dangerous.
Okay.
I don't think they had any idea.
And how did they, was the official first snack was popcorn because they popped popcorn around a microwave?
Yeah.
Okay. I just need to understand.
I'm just going to say this. So they popped it on the platter. It wasn't until a few years later that the first commercial microwave was developed. And get this, it was 5 feet tall, 750 pounds, and was worth the equivalent of 57,000 US in today's money.
So nobody got one?
Well, it was in a restaurant. Yeah.
That's crazy. That's like how computers used to be the size of big rooms.
Right? Yeah.
And they cost a ton, and now we can put everything on here and
totally.
That's it.
Yeah.
I guess microwaves can't get smaller. You still need to fit stuff in them.
It's true.
Yeah.
But there's my entry.
All right. Thing number 2 from me. This is probably more a short one. But we had a tradition in my family. This is, again, personal. I don't know why I didn't do all the research that you did. Probably because
this is good. I like the mix here.
The back and forth. So we had a tradition in my family that when we had a couple traditions for birthdays. When you turned 8, you got to have, an overnighter with your friends on the driveway in our pop-up camping thing.
Yeah.
When you turned 13, you got to watch your first PG-13 movie.
Ooh.
Yes.
All right.
And as we all know, I don't know if they've changed anymore from back then, but the ratings were basically G, PG, PG-13, and R. Those are the most familiar ones.
I think there's mature in between there.
Okay. See, back in my mind back then, it was just G, PG, PG-13, R. I'm sure there was other ones. And I think they varied on where you lived and what country you were in and blah, blah, blah.
Or if you're in Quebec. Yeah.
Yes. So PG-13 movies were movies that you could only watch if you were 13 years old and your parents were okay with it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, right? And so we got to rent a PG-13 movie for my birthday.
On VHS.
On VHS. And probably we didn't even have a VHS player. So because my dad was a pastor and we had a VHS player in my church, we probably took one from church, which is what we always did, and then went to the video store in my tiny little town and walked around selecting which VHS movie we were going to watch.
Yeah.
So my first PG-13 movie was
Yes.
The Fugitive.
Right? That's a good one.
That's a good movie.
That is solid.
And it affected me so much how actionful it was and how he was running away and how he was trying to find the one-armed man, and he had to jump off that big water dam thing.
Classic scene, yeah.
Like all this stuff, and he was still trying to solve the mystery of who killed his wife. It affected me so much that when we did creative writing in grade 8, I basically wrote like a fugitive story.
Mm-hmm.
And the climax of that story was the main character climbs up the Eiffel Tower. It was under construction, you see.
Oh, okay.
And the bad guy and him are in a fight together. And because it was under construction, he pulls out a nail gun, which doesn't make any sense because the Eiffel Tower is all metal. But he pulls out a nail gun and he shoots the bad guy in the leg, and he falls off the Eiffel Tower. And in the end, the bad guy dies, and the main character lives. And there's all sorts of chase scenes with like on top of trains with helicopters and all sorts of things as we go along the story. And it's because of The Fugitive, because it was a PG-13 movie and I was 13, that I was really into creative writing then.
That is fantastic. I love that.
Thank you.
Oh man. The other famous line from that is I don't care. That's like right before he jumps off the tube, right?
Tommy Lee Jones, and he was such a great character in that movie.
Yes.
Not that anybody cares about this unless your parents are watching. That was a good movie.
Yeah. All right. I got one more.
Okay.
All right. I was thinking of first times things had been used or invented, and the parachute came to mind. I was trying to think, who would have been the first person to use a parachute? Yeah.
They got to be pretty courageous, I think.
Right? Yeah. Yep. And so I did a little bit of digging, and it's funny. The first entry is from 853 AD.
What?
And they even have it's weird, they even have the first and last name of this dude. Arwin Furman.
Okay, I need to know more.
Okay, this was in Spain.
Okay,
and he he was a bit of a daredevil, and he wanted to create a flying contraption of sorts, from what I gather. And so he put together a bunch of canvas and boards and jumped off a tower in Spain. Now, it totally didn't work. He didn't fly or glide or anything like that. However, the canvas and the boards slowed his fall enough that he survived. So it was a moderate success.
Was that the first and only time he tried that?
They don't have any record of that.
Okay.
However, it wasn't until almost 1,000 years later. It was 800 years later. There's this Croatian fellow, Faust, who in 1617, he was inspired by Da Vinci. And so he put together a gliding contraption, and again, diving from towers in Venice, and so on and so forth. There's a number of people who just put together things and just jumped off of towers. This is crazy. And so it wasn't until 1783, Sebastian, who was a French person, he tested the first thing that would have been called, and he called a parachute, and so and he survived. And then it wasn't officially used in an emergency situation until 1793, just a decade later, by Jean.
Probably
Pierre Blanchard.
Yeah.
He escaped a ruptured hot air balloon. Yeah. And just one last thing. In 1914, this was an American, Georgia, nicknamed Tiny Broadwick. She had the first free fall and survived. And here's the thing that I picked up. This was the first thing. The thing that I picked up from this was that scientists at the time believed people wouldn't survive free falls. They thought that the speed would be too intense and we would just black out and, I don't know, die. Okay. And so Georgia proved that we could survive free fall.
Wow.
Yeah.
And was she the lady that, or I've heard of people falling and then like hitting trees and it slows their speed and then they hit the ground, and even though they're injured, they still live or something like that?
No, I didn't hear anything about that, but she used a parachute-like thing. Like, she didn't even have a ripcord. I think she just threw it.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, that is fascinating.
Yeah,
just fascinating.
Thanks.
Okay. Do you have any more?
No, that's it.
Okay. I got one more.
Okay.
First kiss.
Oh, wow. We're going there.
Well, it's a kind of a sweet story, actually.
Sure.
And it doesn't really, I don't know if it counts as a first kiss. You can tell me. I have always been the type of person to be interested in girls ever since I was probably 3. Okay. I always had a crush on my sister's friends. I always had a crush on everybody. So in grade three, I had my first girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
And we probably dated for, I don't know, a good half year.
Whoa.
Yeah.
That is a long time.
It is. And what I remember the most is probably what we did was we walked around at recess holding hands and chatted. Okay. And that's it.
Holding hands?
Yeah. And I remember her talking a lot and me listening a lot. And I remember her talking a lot about New Kids on the Block.
Oh.
And I didn't really know who that was. And so I'd just be like, yep. But I remember distinctly one day, I think we both had it in our heads that we wanted to smooch a little bit.
Ooh.
In grade 3, which is totally crazy now.
Yeah, no kidding, eh?
So we suggested it to each other, and I said, only on the cheek, because I don't think I felt good about kissing somebody on the lips.
Right.
So I said, only on the cheek. And so we went into the bushes during recess, and we kissed each other on the cheek.
That is too cute.
Yeah, yeah. So that was my kind of first unofficial kind of kiss.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a great story. Like, did you start listening to New Kids on the Block just to stay relevant?
No, it wasn't my. I already knew it in grade 3. That wasn't my kind of music.
Okay.
Yeah.
And the kiss on the cheek. So you guys broke up pretty soon afterwards, then?
I have no idea when that happened.
Oh man, do you keep in touch?
No, I do not keep in touch with anybody. For if I haven't seen them, I don't keep in touch. I'm like the worst person.
You are.
Yeah, pretty much.
Oh man, that's a great story, man.
Well, thank you again. So that's it. Is that it?
Yeah, that's it for me.
That's it. Okay. This has been our second episode of Rabbit Trails. We hope you enjoyed. If you have any firsts, you can comment below, and we'll see you whenever we do this next time.
Okay.
Bye-bye. How do I stop? Oh.